For 70 years, the relationship between the United States and Canada was like gravity. It was just there. It was undeniable. It was permanent. America leads, Canada follows. America buys, Canada sells. But 3 hours ago, that gravity turned off. While Washington was distracted by the latest tweet, while the cable news pundits were arguing about immigration rhetoric, Ottawa didn't scream. They didn't protest. They didn't hold a press conference to complain about fairness. They just pulled the trigger. Mark Carney just Carney signed a document that effectively ends the America First monopoly on North American resources. And the terrifying part for the White House, they didn't even know the meeting was happening until the ink was dry. This isn't a trade dispute anymore. This isn't a tariff skirmish. This is a divorce. Donald Trump spent the last 6 months trying to corner Canada, treating a G7 ally like a vassal state, threatening 25% tariffs, then 50% demanding loyalty without offering respect. He thought he was squeezing them. He thought he was applying pressure to a weak point. He was wrong. He wasn't squeezing them. He was pushing them out the door. And now the consequences are about to hit your wallet, your 400K, and your grocery bill. In the next 40 minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly what just happened. We are going to look at the numbers the White House is trying to hide. We're going to show you the secret flight logs to Brussels that Trump's intelligence team missed. And we're going to explain why Mark Carney, the central banker, the quiet strategist, just handed Donald Trump the biggest defeat of his presidency without raising his voice. You are watching history shift in real time. And if you're in the United States, you need to brace for impact. This is the pivot. So, let's cut through the noise. What actually happened today? At 4:00 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, while Washington slept, Prime Minister Mark Carney's office released a joint statement with the European Union and Japan. It's being called the Critical Supply Security Pact. On the surface, it sounds boring. It sounds like bureaucratic paper pushing. That is exactly what Carney wants it to look like. Because if you read the fine print, which we did, it is a geopolitical earthquake. Here is the breakdown. For decades, the United States had what we call preferred access to Canadian resources: oil, lumber, aluminum, and most importantly, critical minerals. The stuff that goes into your iPhone, your Tesla, and the F-35 fighter jet. It was an unwritten rule. America eats first. This morning, that rule was deleted. The new pact legally binds Canada to reserve 40% of its critical mineral output for the European Union and Japan for the next 10 years. In exchange, those nations are providing massive upfront infrastructure investment. And here is the kicker: a guaranteed price floor that is independent of the US dollar. Do you understand what that means? It means Canada just sold the minerals that American factories were counting on. Trump has been threatening to slap tariffs on Canadian goods to force them into a bad deal. He thought he could hold the US market hostage. He said, "If you don't do what I say, you lose access to American consumers." Carney looked at that threat, and he didn't blink. He simply found new customers. He pre-sold the inventory. It's the equivalent of a landlord threatening to evict a tenant, only to find out the tenant has already bought a mansion down the street and moved their furniture out in the middle of the night. The leverage is gone. Trump woke up this morning ready to bully Canada into submission at the negotiating table. But when he got to the table, the chair was empty. Canada isn't negotiating for access to the US market anymore because they just replaced it. This is a masterclass in leverage, and it leaves the Trump administration with a nightmare scenario. They need these materials. The US defense sector needs Canadian cobalt and lithium. They don't have a choice. And now they have to get in line behind Germany. They have to get in line behind Japan. This is the first time in modern history that the United States has been treated as a secondary partner in its own hemisphere, and the man responsible isn't shouting at rallies. He isn't calling people names. He's sitting in Ottawa looking at a spreadsheet, watching the numbers align exactly how he planned them. You might be thinking, is it really that bad? Is this just political theatre? Let's look at the receipts. Let's look at the hard data that proves this is not a drill. Receipt number 1, the market reaction. Look at the screen. This is the ticker for 3 major US EV battery manufacturers as of 9:30 a.m. this morning. Down 8%, down 12%, down 15%. Why? Because the market knows how to read? Investors saw the Brussels Pact and realized that the supply chain these companies rely on just got cut in half. They know that if Canada sends that lithium to Europe, it's not coming to Michigan. It's not coming to Texas. Now, look at the Toronto Stock Exchange. The mining sector is up. The energy sector is green. The market is voting. And the market is saying that Canada just won. Receipt number 2, the border wait times. We are getting reports from the Ambassador Bridge, the busiest border crossing in North America. Usually a slowdown there is bad news for Canada, but today the slowdown is happening on the American side. US customs agents are reportedly scrambling. There are rumors of new orders coming from the Department of Homeland Security to inspect strategic goods. But here is the thing, the trucks aren't there. We have drone footage showing a 20% drop in commercial volume heading south today. That isn't a strike. That isn't a blockade. That is a redirection. Those goods are moving to rail. They are moving to ports in Montreal and Vancouver. They are heading east and west, not south. Receipt number 3, the leaked memo. An internal memo from the US Department of Commerce leaked about an hour ago. We can't show you the whole thing, but I can read you one line. It says, quote, current inventory levels of processed nickel allow for 45 days of production. Alternative sourcing from Indonesia will take 6 months to secure. Did you catch that? 45 days. Trump has been acting like he has all the time in the world. He has been acting like Canada is desperate. But the reality is, American factories have 45 days before they run out of the raw materials they need to build cars and batteries. And Carney knows it. He timed this perfectly. He waited until US inventories were tight, and then he signed the deal with Europe. He created a scarcity shock. This is what happens when you put a reality TV star up against a central banker. One of them cares about ratings, the other one cares about leverage. Trump has been playing checkers. Carney is playing 3D chess, and he just took the queen. To understand why this is happening, you have to understand the psychology of Donald Trump. Trump operates on a very simple model: dominance. He believes that every interaction is a zero-sum game. For him to win, you have to lose. He believes that because the US economy is bigger, he can always dictate the terms. He thinks fear is the only currency that matters. For the last year, he has used fear against Canada. He threatened the Auto Pact. He insulted their leadership. He threatened to militarize the border over asylum seekers. He treated Canada not like a partner, but like a problem. He assumed Canada would fold. He assumed that because they are polite, they are weak. He assumed that because they need us, they will take whatever abuse he dishes out. But Trump made a fatal calculation error. He forgot that Canada has options. See, Trump is stuck in 1985. He thinks the world still revolves entirely around the American consumer. He thinks that if he closes the US market, other countries will starve. But it's 2026. The world is different. Europe is desperate for energy and minerals to get off Russian reliance. Asia is hungry for food and fertilizer. Carney saw this. Carney understands the global map in a way Trump never will. So while Trump was busy shouting threats, Carney was busy making calls. And now Trump is losing control because his favorite weapon, tariffs, doesn't work here. Think about it. If Trump slaps a tariff on Canadian goods now, what happens? Canada has already sold the goods to Europe. They aren't trying to send them here anymore. You can't tax what you aren't buying. Trump is standing there holding a gun, threatening to shoot. But Canada has already left the room, and you can see the panic setting in. Look at his truth social feed this morning. It's frantic caps lock exclamation points, calling Carney a traitor to the continent, calling the EU scammers. That is not the sound of a man who is winning. That is the sound of a man who realizes he has been outplayed. He is trying to rally his base. He is trying to make this look like an attack on America. But deep down, his advisors know the truth. They know that they pushed Canada too far, and now Canada has pushed back. And the worst part for Trump, he can't fix this with a phone call. He can't fix this with a rally. Contracts are signed. Ships are being booked. The pivot is legal and binding. Trump is trapped in a cage of his own making. He destroyed the trust, and now he is paying the price. Now, let's talk about Mark Carney. If you don't know his background, you need to understand who this man is. He ran the Bank of Canada during the 2008 financial crisis, and he saved Canada from the worst of it. Then he was hired to run the Bank of England. He is a technician. He is a systems thinker. He doesn't do gut feelings. He does risk analysis. When Trump started threatening Canada, Carney didn't get angry. He didn't engage in a Twitter war. He didn't call Trump names. He went quiet. That silence was dangerous. Carney understands something that Trump doesn't. Sovereignty isn't about shouting about your flag. Sovereignty is about optionality. Sovereignty means having the power to say no. And to say no to the United States, you need a backup plan. What Carney has done here is historically significant. He has redefined Canada's place in the world. For 100 red years, Canada defined itself as America's partner. Carney is redefining Canada as the world's resource superpower. He is betting on a simple fact. The world needs what Canada has. The world needs fresh water. The world needs uranium. The world needs potash. The world needs rare earth metals. Carney is saying, we are open for business, but we are not open for bullying. This isn't anti-Americanism. Carney loves America. He lived here. He worked here. But he is a realist. He sees that the US political system is broken. He sees that Trump is unstable. He sees that America is turning inward, and he is protecting his country from the fallout. He is building a firewall. This strategy is calm. It is calculated, and it is cold-blooded. He isn't burning the bridge with America. He is just building 5 other bridges so that the American bridge isn't the only way out. And that is why this is so effective. It's hard to demonize. He isn't attacking the US Constitution. He is just signing trade deals. He is just doing business. How does Trump fight that? How do you fight a guy who is simply following the rules of the free market? The very rules America claims to love? Carney has turned capitalism against the capitalist king. So why does this matter to you? If you are watching this in Wisconsin or Ohio or Florida, why should you care about a trade deal between Canada and Europe? Because Canada touches every part of your life. Do you like affordable electricity? Canada supplies a massive chunk of the US power grid. Do you like affordable housing? Canadian lumber builds American homes. Do you drive a car? Canadian oil fuels American refineries. If this divorce continues, if this split gets wider, the costs are going to land on your kitchen table. Let's play this out. If Canada prioritizes selling oil to Asian markets via the new pipeline expansions, the supply for US Midwest refineries drops. Gas prices go up. Not by a few cents, by $1, maybe $2. If Canada prioritizes selling aluminum to Europe, the cost of beer cans, cars, and construction materials in the US goes up. Inflation, the thing everyone hates, will come roaring back. And it won't be because of the Fed. It will be because the cheap, reliable supply chain to the north has been severed. And it's bigger than money. It's about safety. We live in a dangerous world. Russia, China, the Middle East. Instability is everywhere. For generations, Americans have slept soundly, knowing that at least their northern border was safe. At least their northern neighbor was a friend. Trump is throwing that away. He is turning a friend into a competitor. Imagine a world where Canada is neutral, not hostile, just neutral. Imagine a world where Chinese companies are building infrastructure in Alberta because the US companies were pushed out. Imagine a world where European defense contractors get the first pick of Canadian tech. That is the world Carney is building today. Not because he wants to hurt America, but because he has to protect Canada from Trump. You are watching the end of the North American fortress. And once that wall is breached, once that trust is gone, you can't just glue it back together. There is a photo circulating online right now that you need to see. It was taken this morning at the Department of Commerce in Washington. There was supposed to be a working group meeting on crossbar energy. Look at the empty chair. For 70 years, Canada has always been in that chair. Through wars, through recessions, through presidencies, good and bad, Canada always showed up. Today they didn't. That empty chair is the loudest message Donald Trump has ever received. It says we don't need to be here anymore. It says we have other places to go. Carney didn't raise his voice. He simply removed his presence. And the silence in that room is deafening. So where do we go from here? This is the dangerous part. We are entering uncharted territory. Scenario A, the Trump escalation. This is the most likely path. Trump feels humiliated. He lashes out. He closes the border. He imposes a 100% tariff on everything. If he does that, he crashes the US auto industry within a week. He causes a recession in 30 days. It is economic suicide, but his ego might demand it. If this happens, we see a full-blown trade war that makes the China trade war look like a picnic. Scenario B, the corporate revolt. US CEOs from Ford, from GM, from Boeing march into the Oval Office and tell Trump to stop. They tell him he is killing them. They force him to back down. This is what Carney is banking on. He is counting on American business leaders to be the adults in the room. He is squeezing them so they will squeeze Trump. Scenario C, the permanent break. This is the long-term reality. Even if this gets patched up next week, the damage is done. Canada has learned the lesson. America is not reliable. They will never stop diversifying now. They will keep building ports to Asia. They will keep signing deals with Europe. The era of exclusive US access is over forever. We are watching the end of the American empire's home-ec court advantage. Trump promised to put America first, but by treating his closest ally like an enemy, he has ensured that America stands alone. The next few days are going to be critical. You are going to hear a lot of noise. You are going to hear Trump call this a betrayal. You are going to hear his surrogates call for sanctions against Canada. But when you hear that, remember what I told you. This wasn't an attack. It was a response. It was a response to months of bullying. It was a response to instability. Canada just proved that it is a sovereign nation, not a 51st state. Mark Carney just proved that you can stand up to a bully if you are smart enough, calm enough, and prepared enough. The question now is not what Canada will do. They have made their move. The question is America capable of admitting it was wrong? Is Donald Trump capable of humility? If the answer is no, then get ready. because the border you thought was just a line on a map is about to become a very real, very expensive wall. And we are going to be paying for it for a generation. This story is developing fast. We are monitoring the ports, we are monitoring the markets, and we are watching the White House for their response. Do you think Carney went too far? Or was this the only way to get Trump's attention? Is Canada right to look for other partners? I want to hear your take in the comments. This is a debate we need to have. And if you want the truth about what's happening to your economy, the truth the mainstream media is too afraid to tell you, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell. We are the only ones tracking this angle. Thanks for watching. Stay vigilant.